Report.
Everything's status quo, sir.
Very well. If anyone needs me, I'll be in my ready room.
The Readier Room, the only and longest running Star Trek The Next Generation rewatch podcast. Every week, we're bringing you an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation and all of the behind-the-scenes stories that went into making it happen. My name is Mitchell Mells, Chief Consultant of Services, and with me is my life partner, Brandon Hobbs, former Head of Resources Management. Brandon, how are we doing today?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I had a bit of a microphone incident like just now. So but otherwise I'm doing well.
Well, if you think I'm gonna re-record the intro just for a mic problem, you got another think coming. Now there's an interesting point. Do you know that the original phrase is another think coming? Like if you think this, you have another think coming.
Another think coming.
Right, but a lot of people say another thing coming.
Yeah, what?
Probably because of the Judas Priest song. You ever hear that song?
Yeah, no, I mean I was gonna say the thing is you're always gonna have another think coming, right?
Well, it depends.
It just makes sense.
It depends on, if you're a complete boob or not. Some people, they don't have that many things coming to them. Not for a while, anyway.
And I guess it depends on what kind of think.
Right.
Now,
men...
Do you think words?
Right. This is true. And also, men typically think about sex every 7 seconds. So, that next think coming might just be completely unrelated to the topic and about sex.
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be, yeah. Yeah, see, I just thought about it just now.
Right. Oh my god. I want to have sex so bad.
So, would you say, though, that men have more thinks than women?
Ooh, this is dangerous. Now, how does one measure a think? What happens to a think deferred? That's my question. Anyway, I'm not getting into those legal troubles.
Have we already done this?
It's a well we come back to. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that.
Anyway. You I've been having this issue recently.
Go on.
Where I don't know if you've experienced this. You listen to a podcast and it's about a certain topic, right?
Oh, I don't listen to podcasts. I would never.
Well, I do. I happen to, for research purposes.
Okay.
I got to make sure that we're kind of up and
coming
on top. Well, just that we're on top of things. Following the trends. You got to hit the algorithm.
Right.
When you are up and coming, that's probably the most important thing you can do. So, you listen to a podcast. It's about like a specific topic.
Woodworking.
Right? Yeah, sure. If that's what you would like to listen to.
I like to listen to woodworking.
And then the host started off by talking about nothing related to that topic for the first 30 minutes.
How'd you feel as an audience member?
It's enraging, isn't it?
Well, like I said, I would never deign myself to listen to a podcast, so I can't quite relate. But I imagine something I do often watch, Family Matters. I imagine if, I tune into Family Matters and the first 20 minutes of an episode, of the 23-minute episode, are, Law and Order or something completely unrelated. I would feel cheated.
I wouldn't say Law and Order and Family Matters are completely unrelated. There's some overlap.
I suppose Carl Winslow was a cop. So he was the law. No, he was the order.
How many episodes about
Hold on.
What?
In Law and Order, are the police the law or the order?
They're the order.
Are you sure?
I mean, unless this is Judge Dredd.
Well, he is Judge, Judy, and Executioner.
Right.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed my own joke. Anyway, yeah.
Now you can't be an executioner, so we just have Judge Judy.
Now, Judge Judy, she really owned her courtroom. Not the land, but
The atmosphere.
exactly. Like the air.
She's got like an Apple TV show now or something, doesn't she?
Isn't she like 80 years of age?
She's pretty old.
What are we
Still
gonna do
outlive
about
Norm though.
that? She was on Norm's show.
She was.
I don't know why, but she was.
That was a very weird episode.
Norm had very odd guests. And I think
I guess that was part of the bit.
Yeah, I mean, when you make a total of, what was it, 51 episodes, by definition you're going to have an odd number of guests, but
God.
Rest in peace,
Yeah, rip.
Norm Burger King. Yeah, I don't know. Podcasts don't respect the time of the viewer at all.
No.
Listener?
No, by no means.
No. I lied. I have listened to podcasts before, and they would have like 40 minutes of sports betting talk when I'm just trying to, learn about woodworking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't care if they covered the spread. Like, what? Do you know what that means, to cover the spread? Your dad ever take you to the sports betting parlor?
No, I've never bet on sports before, unless horse racing counts.
It's kind of cruel.
What?
Horse racing.
Is it cruel?
Do you think it's cool?
Fun. It's fun to watch.
Not for the horses.
Yeah, but who cares?
It's difficult for the horses to watch because they have those blinders on.
Yeah. Well, and they're the ones running.
Right. But running comes natural to them. Oh, get this. Pop quiz. What is the human being's natural advantage over most other mammals, aside from the intellect?
It's the thumbs.
Okay, fine. That's one. What's another one?
Besides intellect.
I'll give you a hint. This was inspired by running.
It's endurance running.
Yeah, right, because they're bipedal instead of quadruped. So they can run longer distances. Slower, right. but longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could run all day.
Right, and I'm
picturing...
When I learned this fact, I just pictured, a group of humans just stalking some kind of, cheetah or whatever over a long stretch. And, the cheetah's like dogged and it's looking behind them and it's like, they're still coming.
Oh, it's more catted, really.
Oh, that's true. This is true. Real feline, that one. But yeah, I mean, that's a cool little thing. Humans are cool.
It's neat. They made a movie about that, running.
Oh yeah, with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I was gonna say Forrest Gump.
No, I was thinking of with Richard Dawkins.
The God Delusion?
No, the host of Family Feud in the 70s. You have no idea what I'm talking about, do you?
No, what movie is this?
It's The Running Man.
Oh, The Running Man.
Yeah. And the host of the Family Feud from real life, Richard Dawkins, was there, and he had the famous quote, "It's time to start running." And then Arnold Schwarzenegger started running. And
did he call him the Running Man?
I think that was the name of the game show in universe.
Isn't there a Korean show called The Running Man or something?
I don't follow Korea. Neither.
Well, no,
of them.
I remember having a conversation with someone in Japan about something called, I think it was The Running Man, and I was like, the Schwarzenegger movie? Like, you were born after that even came out.
But it was a Korean
And no,
thing?
it was a Korean show or something. But
Now,
I might be wrong about
Are
the
you thinking
title.
of Squid Game?
You know what? That's it.
The Squid
it.
Game?
I was thinking about because there's that old Schwarzenegger movie Squid Game,
Right.
and yeah.
Yeah, where he has to elude the squid.
Okay, what am I thinking of?
Insofar as this Korean show?
Yeah.
Well, let's break it down.
Okay,
Is
yeah.
it
It is Running Man. It's Running Man.
North Korea or South Korea?
It's classified as urban action and variety.
Oh, I like variety.
The MCs and the guests were to complete missions at a landmark to win the race. The show is since shifted to a more familiar reality variety show concept focused on games. Oh.
This reminds
Yeah,
me.
so it's dumb.
Do you remember the time that we applied for the Amazing Race together?
Yeah. And then we learned it wasn't about white people.
No. We were a shoo-in otherwise.
Right.
Shame. But I could never travel. I hate travel. Once we learned the conceit of the show, it was donezo.
I'm allergic to watermelons too, so
Right.
wouldn't have worked out.
Makes traveling on the public transit really difficult in Japan for you. Your watermelon allergy.
Well, and going to the beach.
Right. Summertime rituals.
You never know when you're gonna be hit by the goo.
Very Nickelodeon-esque.
Splitting watermelon.
Well, getting hit by goo.
Oh, the imagery
At unwanted
of that?
times.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. You're just there to receive your Kid's Choice Award, and you drive by gooing.
Yeah, we got nominated once for what was the show we were on?
It was the show we were on that was, I think it was the live action Fairly Odd Parents adaptation, I believe.
Was it?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think of what from our catalog would have been nominated for a Kid's Choice
what could
Award.
it possibly been?
It was
I
either
guess it could have been that.
It was either that or that movie where Frankie Muniz played a secret agent, which I don't quite remember.
Secret Agent Cody Banks. That's
Right.
Oh, shit.
With Paul Giamatti.
Either way, we didn't win, so yeah, with Paul Giamatti, yeah. Oh, he's an interesting guy. If we have time, we should dredge up some stories from that one for our Frankie Muniz podcast.
Yeah. We could also tell our stories from the set of Sideways with Paul Giamatti, and funnily enough, both of the main actors in the film Sideways went on to play Spider-Man villains.
That is funny.
Yeah. The Sandman.
I never put those
Rhino.
together.
Yeah, which makes me want to go back and rewatch Sideways to look for the Spider-Man references, the connection.
Mm-hmm. Or, alternatively, watch Spider-Man to look for the Sideways.
Oh, I would never watch Spider-Man. Just could not.
You don't want to watch Mark Webb's The Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Mark Webb? Is that real?
Yeah, yes, that's real.
His name's Webb.
His name is Mark Webb, yeah.
With 2 B's?
Yeah, with 2 B's.
Oh, I guess it's not the real one.
I know, yeah.
Now, people like
Still
to tell
funny.
me that Spider-Man, he uses web shooters instead of naturally having web.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why? Was it just to keep with the spider motif? Was that necessary? Could he not have made like a fancy
why does he
jet-
use web shooters?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, once it's artificial, you don't need to stick to the spider motif, right? You could just have like a jetpack.
The word on the block is that when they were coming up with the concept for the character way back in the 60s, Stanley, when Stanley was but there's that other guy that everyone says Stanley basically took all the credit from.
Mark Webb?
Peter Pinky or something, I don't know. When they were coming up with the concept for the character, they wanted him to be able to shoot webs, but there was a regulation on comic books where bodily fluids couldn't be shown. And they considered that a bodily fluid because it was shooting out of him.
Is this a real story?
So, that's what they say. That's what I've heard. So they had to come up with some way around it, and basically what Sam Raimi did was he just reintroduced that concept into his movie, so Spider-Man could shoot webs from his body again.
Right, because that's what's the opposite.
It makes
of
a lot more
nonsensical?
sense.
Sensical,
Right? I mean, it just makes sense. Why go through because you watch Mark Webb's film, The Amazing Spider-Man, and there's like 20 minutes devoted to him just making this stupid contraption.
Right. It's fiction. No one's gonna bat no one's gonna bat an eye if you're just like, oh yeah, and he got the power to shoot webs.
Yeah, a little overpowered there. Well, no, it's like, and even then, as time goes on, it's more and more ridiculous for him to be using like a machine to shoot webs.
Now, is there a lot of drama of like, oh, I'm out of webbing?
Yes. How did you know?
That seems like the only natural conclusion of this.
Yes. He has to stash web canisters around the city so that he can go pick them up when he runs out. And yes, he'll run out of webs in the middle of a very important fight.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
It creates drama.
Yeah, very artificially, I suppose. But, it seems like a crutch in writing, if I had to classify this.
I think it was just a happy accident that they were forced to make it this way, and then one day they figured out, hey, we can dredge some drama up from this.
I think it's a little artificial the way it plays out.
Oh, it's a fictional story.
Oh, this is true. I neglected to think about that, but constraints are good, but it's a constraint that that the audience will never ever see coming, right? He can have as much or as little web as you want him to before running out. And if that's not an element you need in the story, he'll just have infinite. And if it is, then he might just run out prematurely. Oh yeah,
I can imagine if there's probably some autist who's gone through every issue and counted how much web he's used over like a single fight or something.
Oh yeah,
just figured out it's where he should have run out.
The WPP, right? The webs per panel.
Webs, yeah, sure.
That's some sabermetrics shit right there.
But I guess I see where you're coming from. Yeah, it is kind of dumb.
Yeah, I'm not hanging on the edge of my seat. Like, is that what Spider-Man fans do? They're reading, they're flipping through it, and it's like, oh my god, when's he gonna run out? Does he have enough?
Reading Spider-Man is just the most stressful experience because you never know when he's gonna run out of the webs, but he will. It could be while he's swinging around the city.
Yeah, it's just
falls to his death.
That would be a bold way to open a comic. Like Spider-Man's just surveying the city, swinging around, and just whoops, I'm out. Apropos of nothing.
To replace my canister.
And he lands in Harlem, and he's got to get out without having a web.
You do forget, however, that he has superhuman strength anyway. So
yeah, that's true. Does that run out?
No, that's unless he loses confidence in himself.
Runs out of spinach.
Or he's lacking the he loses the power of friendship or something.
Oh god. Now I'm led to believe that in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movie, Mary Jane is the love interest. However, in most other Spider-Man fiction, it's a different woman that is his primary love interest.
What's her name?
Gwen Stefani?
Gwen Stacy. Yeah, Gwen Stacy. Yeah, there's a lot of Gwen Stacy. No, but Mary Jane somewhat quickly ended up being the canon girl. He always marries Mary Jane. That's why her name is Mary. Fun fact.
So Gwen Stacy's just
there's a lot of Gwen
piece.
Stacy. There's a lot of Gwen Stacy. No, but Gwen Stacy died. It was a big deal. They killed her off. So the only time you really see her anymore is in side, alternate universe type stuff.
Do you think it was a contract dispute? She wanted more money, so he's killed off
the character? Yeah. the drawing wanted more money. There's also Black Cat.
I'm not touching that one.
Do you know about Black Cat?
No, I think I do actually. If I recall, her character's design had like, I don't know, like white fur trim on her black costume.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Well, okay. Is that a big character?
That's a big one. It's another love interest for Spider-Man.
Okay. Now, Black Cat is distinct from Catwoman.
Very distinct from Catwoman.
Okay.
Black Cat's hotter.
I see. Is that canon?
It should be. And Black Cat definitely has BPD.
Ooh. Why is that?
Which, well, you can tell.
Okay. I know you've become an adept at spotting this.
I've got BPD sonar.
Is that more accurate than your gaydar?
It's I'd say it's about the same.
Okay. I buy it.
Gaydar is overblown. The idea that you like, if you can't tell someone's gay, like there's something wrong with you.
Well, everybody's a little gay these days.
Sure. But I mean, like, full on, like, only, like, 100% homosexual.
On the Kinsey scale?
Especially if they're bottoms. If you can't tell someone's a bottom, you need to end your life.
You don't have to be so rude about it.
What?
Well,
Well, it's just a failure to be able to pick up on normal social cues.
We're big on social cues on this podcast.
We are.
I think
we got all kinds of cues.
Gaydar was more relevant maybe 15 years ago.
I suppose you mean when no one could talk about it? When it was necessary? When people wouldn't come up to you and shake your hand and say, "Hi, I'm gay."
200 years ago, you needed a good gaydar. Look, back when, we were at Stonewall, we know how unnecessary these things were.
Yeah. Do you think there's anyone named Gaylord who goes by the nickname Gay?
No, but I knew a girl whose mother's name was Gay.
Really?
Yes.
That girl must have been bullied relentlessly.
For her mother's name? Like, who the fuck? Why would she even say her mother's name?
I don't know. At some point, someone must have found out.
I suppose. Yeah. And, rightful bullying, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But,
how dare she be born?
How dare she be born?
Be born.
She be born.
She be born.
What was this about podcasts not respecting people's time?
I forget. I don't know what I was talking about.
Yeah, I don't know either, but indeed she be born. So
yeah, she do be.
She been do.
She Scooby Dooby Doo been born.
Oh goodness. I really do not like Scooby-Doo. It's one of my least favorite intellectual properties.
I wouldn't call it an intellectual property.
What would you call it?
I don't know, a mongoloid property?
A black hole of
Ooh, careful.
Heyo.
There's the old stuff is kind of quaint at this point, but I do remember as a kid I couldn't stand it. Seeing it on TV.
I do find the old stuff to be somewhat visually offensive.
No, it definitely is, because when you look at, and this is true of all Hanna-Barbera stuff. What Hanna-Barbera figured out was how to make the cheapest shows and just crank them out.
Right.
So they do look terrible, and they look terrible for the time even. So, and I'm sure you remember, like they really did look awful. But yes, I sympathize. I used to hate it when that would come on TV. I would change the channel immediately. I found the logic of the plots to be completely retarded. there's one episode that will always stick with me where they were trying to open a door.
Okay, that sounds like a really gripping episode.
And it was one of those it was like a knob, like a circular knob, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I've ever run into a door that was constructed like this. But Shaggy turns the knob and he's like, it won't open. And then Velma comes up behind him, turns it the other way, and it opens. And she says, oh, you turned the knob the wrong way. Has that ever happened to you? Because I've never run into it. Like, even in the oldest houses.
I've never encountered such a doorknob.
And I think about this often.
The closest I found is a doorknob that wouldn't turn one way. But not one that turns in both directions, yet does not. Only one of them functions.
Right. And I mean, I guess the closest I found is a doorknob that talks.
Well, it's the future now.
Right.
There was something. What was I thinking of? Oh yeah, I've always wanted an official explanation for Red Shirt Shaggy.
That is probably the funniest thing.
Just how vexing it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the whole point is it's non-canon Shaggy.
Are those?
He goes to a school for
monsters.
Well, they're yeah. I mean, like he only appears in what films and that one series where he's just going around with Daphne for some reason. Yeah. I guess he cucks Fred.
Again, something that has more questions than answers.
Which I at that point I actually don't remember ever seeing that one on TV.
There was one
that was in the 70s, I think.
There was also a Wacky Races one.
Yeah.
There was that, the Monster School one.
Yep.
Maybe one other one, but
there was one other one, I think.
Wait, was the Harlem Globetrotters one of these?
That was an episode of Scooby-Doo. That was like its own series.
Like Scooby-Doo runs into famous people.
Yeah, and I can't remember what it was called, but that was its own series.
I know they had like Abbott and Costello.
I don't think that was Red Shirt.
Maybe the Three Stooges.
I don't think that was Red Shirt Shaggy.
Yeah.
Did they ever didn't they do Batman at some point?
They definitely did Batman. Definitely.
Like that was the show, right?
Yes. And because there was a Batman animated show as well at the time.
Yeah.
60s, 70s, whatever. And they definitely intersected with Scooby-Doo and the gang, as they would say.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo meets Batman and the Joker.
Oh, you met both of them.
Yeah.
Big day.
I remember well after I was watching cartoons. They did Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, that's
You remember that one?
It was a pretty misogynistic episode.
I mean, it was Johnny Bravo after all.
Now imagine this, Johnny Brava.
They did that.
What?
There's an episode where they turn him into a woman.
Is that what it was called?
I don't know, but he learns. Yes, I know. Maybe your joke is ruined, but he learns.
Joke.
He learns how to be a good feminist.
Oh, good for him.
He learns that women are actually worth respecting.
Did she do the monkey?
Yeah, I think so, probably. And that might have been the last episode of the series too.
A real character arc.
Yeah. Arc.
So this week's question of the week comes from Sapphire, who says, "Hey Admirals, which members of the bridge crew do you think would make the best polycule? Thank you for everything you do. My partners and I love your show." It's a very nice thing to say from one.
That's nice.
One creative to another. We really liked, Push. We also liked Sapphire and all that stuff.
Precious.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'd say that you're thinking of Precious, a film based on the book Push by Sapphire.
Yes, but the title was Precious, based on a novel Push by Sapphire.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. I'll do better next time. I have a lot of learning to do, and it's not your job to educate me.
No, but what's your dream polycule from the bridge crew?
Polycule, let's see. I'm thinking Data's got to be in there, of course.
Mm-hmm.
That's non-negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
But gosh, it's so hard to pick, isn't it? Because
it is.
I could see them all kind of doing, like, participating. Maybe not Picard.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think Picard would be a mono involved with a poly?
He would kind of
okay,
he would
imagine
like nakedly stand in the corner.
Imagine this. So Picard is mono with Crusher, who is poly, and Picard's meta with Crusher would be Frakes, who is involved with Crusher, Troy, and Geordi. Now, all three of those are distinct relationships with Riker. I said Frakes before, with Riker as the as the center, right? He's at the hinge around which everyone revolves.
Sure.
And then Geordi and Worf have their own side thing going.
Okay.
And it's just very awkward when they all go to the bridge together.
Where does Data fit in?
Oh, Data's, he's asexual. Data, he does not.
I like
fit
to
in.
imagine Data's just banging everyone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's kind of just he spreads his seed far and wide.
Data, in an effort to become human, synthesizes an STD he can pass on.
Oh, God. Oh man, now that's an episode. But in terms of the polycule, I imagine Data, he's an inanimate object, but everyone kind of just uses him when they're not getting any.
Data's
and
a
then,
sex toy?
Yeah, other parts of the polycule get mad, and they're, they can't actually get mad with any kind of righteousness because Data's just an inanimate object. So that's the argument, It's like, oh, he's just a thing. He didn't mean anything.
Yeah. Now, what if Data had customizable parts? I know this is getting into fan fiction territory, but that's kind of the question.
Trans Data? Is that a real thing?
Trans Data?
Trans Data.
Well, I haven't read all the books, but
Trans Data Incorporated. Welcome to Trans Data. Trans Data, go further. Huh. Well, it's a company.
Okay. Do you think they are about what we're discussing?
Probably not.
I see. That's a shame.
Well, okay, so what if he did? In my imagination, he doesn't. He kind of just comes equipped with his long schlong. But if he did, would it just be the parts, or are we talking like full like facial custom, like he
no,
looks
just
like a woman?
Just the parts.
Just the parts.
And
oh God.
It's kind of giving you. It's like you get intense psychic damage from the image of Data when he gets nude and he's just got a vagina under all that. Just very unsettling imagery.
It's really bad. Oh my God. Oh.
So I don't think he would be a member of the Polycule. Side piece, if anything. But I can say with 100% certainty that nobody would want Wesley Crusher involved in this.
No, considering Gene is not a character on the show.
That's right. Now, Gene himself had a bit of a polycule going where, he had many partners and they never knew anything of each other.
Right.
He was quite the hinge, as they say.
It's a mystery polycule.
The sweetest kind.
Mm-hmm. We like that.
Yeah, ahead of his time. They always called Gene a visionary, and that's no less true here.
Yeah, now you can see why.
Yeah, because of his early polycule going. Now, I'm going to quiz you. I know that you're not as well versed in the world of polyamory as I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to quiz you on vocabulary, and you might have picked up some of the meaning depending on the context with which I use these words.
If
But-
I've been listening to you talk.
Which you never do, so I think we'll be fine. So, let's see. What is a hinge?
A hinge, I would say, is the one that ties the polycule together and is de facto the main character of the polycule.
Yeah, one might look at it that way. It's somebody who connects two people together by virtue of being both of their partners, even if they're not.
Okay.
But now, what is a meta?
Meta. Meta's gonna be the I would say arrangement you have with your partners.
No,
The terms.
a meta is your partner's other partner.
Oh, that's stupid.
Bonus question, what is it short for?
Meta. Metacule.
No, that's a good guess. Metamore. Like
Metamore.
Metamore. Metamore.
That's
Okay.
a Digimon.
What is a comet?
A comet is a fling that swings by and destroys the polycule in one night.
That's a good guess, but no, it's a partner that one sees infrequently.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's fair. That's
Like
fair.
like a Halley's comet.
Yeah.
Any other good ones here?
It'd be interesting if you found a comet named Haley.
Okay, here's a good one. Well, first of all, that's hilarious, but here's a good one. What does the acronym OPP mean? What does it stand for?
Out poly pocket. I don't know.
It stands for, and this is not a joke, one penis policy.
Ooh. All right. Let's unpack that.
Well, anybody worth their salt will know that a one penis policy is, quote, inherently sexist, misogynistic, homophobic, biphobic, transphobic, controlling, and rooted in toxic masculinity.
Okay, so the one penis policy is in a poly there's only one dude.
Right.
Sure. Which
Now-
is the only reasonable poly to have.
Of course. But not, I mean, if you're controlling, racist, sexist, homophobic.
Sure.
Now,
If you want to kill all black people.
Exactly. My final question here. What is kitchen table polyamory?
Kitchen table polyamory. Oof. God, that could go so many ways. Kitchen table polyamory. It's probably not right, but I'm gonna say like are you like fronting in some way?
What do you mean?
Like you're pretending to be poly?
No. So kitchen table polyamory is an arrangement where everyone involved is on good enough terms that they could conceivably sit
Oh.
around the kitchen table together.
That's more direct than I thought it would be.
Do you want the opposite of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be parallels, where relationships exist in parallel with each other without intermingling.
Okay. That's where the drama starts really bubbling up.
Yes.
Unless
Yes.
unless the kitchen table turns into a situation where one of them isn't having sex.
Now, do you remember that story of like a poly group, and it turned out they like killed a child or something? It's like they're all fat and ugly, and
I think so.
yeah, and they committed some kind of heinous crime.
Mhm.
I just wanted to bring that up. No real reason. So if you're like Sapphire and you want to ask us a question of the week, you can email us at thereadierroom@gmail.com. That's with a capital T and 2 capital R's. Or you can tweet at the Readier Room, or even leave a comment on YouTube, and we will answer your question weekly on our Question of the Week segment. All right. Now, we
Okay,
got in
here we go.
just under the 40-minute mark. We're ready.
Oh, we're making good time.
Yeah, we're ready to talk about Star Trek. Tin Man. Tin Man? Tin Man.
Tin Man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not Tin Man. Tin Man.
Right, not Tin Man.
Right.
Right.
It's like some kind of Tin Man.
Dare I say, Tin Man.
It's
So,
pronounced like Hamburger Man.
of course it is. Do you want my hot take?
Yeah, did you? Okay, tell me you loved this.
I didn't love it, but I did like it.
Mm.
I don't think it was a bad episode.
Bad, maybe not. Boring, absolutely.
I think that the boring the parts of the episode that would be described as boring fit in line pretty well with just cold sci-fi. It has a relatively interesting, borderline intriguing setup. I like the idea of what Tin Man is.
Yeah.
And I think the way all the characters act in that scenario is pretty sensible. And I don't know. I just thought the plot played out in a somewhat interesting way. Like, I don't have any real gripes with the episode. I expected it to be more shitty Troy stuff, but Troy doesn't actually figure into the episode all that heavily. And it's, if anything, it's more of a data joint. But
yeah, well, it's more of a data joint, but it's definitely not one. And so I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something that's not going to come as a surprise to you at all.
Yeah.
Although you don't know it yet.
You can say you fucking hated it?
No. This episode is an adaptation of a non-Star Trek novel.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess that's...
Meaning... And I'm sure you've noticed this episode has almost nothing to do with the bridge crew.
Right. It centers around Tamgrams, whatever his name is.
Yeah. Tam Elbrin. Tam Elbrin.
Right.
And Tamgrams. And this is part of the big problem for me, because out of all the things in the original TNG Bible, and I think this is something that even Michael Piller was adamant about, that we don't have stories about anyone but our crew, really. Like, this is a Data episode, this is a Worf episode, and everything else is kind of tangential. Like, all other characters are sort of tangential. This is a Tam Elbrin episode, and it's not interesting in that vein at all. He's not an interesting character.
I don't think he's all that interesting either, but I also don't think it's a cardinal sin to have an episode that doesn't feature prominently one of the bridge crew. Sparingly.
Well, I think there's a reason that we went that route.
No, I agree. And that's a great default template, but I think if there's one episode per season that takes a different focus, I don't think that's problematic at all. Especially when it's not completely agnostic of the bridge crew, right? Tamgram's relation to Data is meaningful. And and
I do
something.
like that. I do like that, and I wish there was more of an emphasis on that. But it's not so much a sin as it kind of, well, it's me trying to convey to you why I didn't like it, and
sure,
it's the faults that the whole setup brought with it are what bothers me about the episode. It's you have to set up this character, and it's all like, we're supposed to connect with Tam, and his plight or whatever, and he's mostly just annoying.
Yeah.
He's not necessarily. Harry wasn't really an attractive actor either.
No, especially not with the contacts.
No, oh my god! I was gonna say he looks like a soulless bug.
I mean, that's the old Ginger joke, right? They really really played up here.
And I don't want to rag on him too much, because he was a fairly accomplished actor. After the fact, he was in movies and shows, and had quite a few long-standing roles. But he's not. He doesn't have star power by any means.
No, and I'm gonna be honest. I didn't love his performance. Neither the way the character was written nor the performance all that much.
Sure.
Because you could conceive of a of a guest character that kind of steals the show and is worth
like Okana.
centering. Yes.
The outrageous Okana.
The outrageous Okana, that's it. But no, Tam Grams didn't really deliver on that. It was more of the premise of the story that I was drawn in by, rather than anything to do with the character himself.
Sure. I do think that, and I think Robert Shearer, the director, actually voiced his opinion on this in much the same way that the final episode doesn't reflect how good the script really was, or the concept was. Let's say.
I'm sure the story that it's based on had a lot more going on.
Yeah.
If taking away the need to include the bridge crew in any capacity, even just as a framing device, kind of opens up a lot in establishing and exploring that character that we can't really do here, because there's X amount of scenes of Geordi restoring power to the couplings or whatever. And it's never going to be as in-depth as a dedicated work to this concept.
Yeah, you got to devote like 15 minutes to Troy being a woman.
Yes. Ovulating or whatever it is she does.
Constantly ovulating.
It's every page of the script, just in brackets. Troy ovulating.
Troy ovulating. All right. Enough of that tomfoolery.
Okay, bring on the Jerry foolery.
All right. So where are we at? The Enterprise is
going to meet up with the Hood unexpectedly.
Yeah, they're returning from the quick little reference here, the Hayashi System, which somehow remained in the script, and I'm not really sure why. And this is something it might be in like one of those weird little encyclopedias, like hard books. Like you're not going to find this online. But for the audience, the Hayashi System, it's actually a reference to the Japanese art of Hayashi, right?
Right.
Which is the practice of skipping stones across the water in order to attract koi. Basically what you're trying to do is get them to jump out of the water in like a certain pattern. It's very pretty. We've seen a few demonstrations of it.
Yeah.
From the masters.
Whenever we go, when we went abroad, it was part of the sightseeing. When
we were doing the press junkets and all that.
Right.
So this Hayashi, this art of Hayashi, this was going to relate back to the plot. Back when Tam, we had him as a Hayashian, who would educate Picard on sort of Oriental mysticism, right? And Picard was going to use this Oriental art to draw Gomtu out of hiding. Unfortunately, by the time we got to casting, the Great Chinese American Strike was going on, and that made this just practically impossible. We did have plenty of yellow body paint lying around, but Frakes was our only volunteer, and we would have lost a whole character there. So,
what could have been?
Yeah. So we ended up making Tam a Betazoid. So yeah, they're going to rendezvous with the Hood.
Hell yeah.
Who we know and love.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me that the Hood makes so many consecutive mentions and/or appearances. The vast Federation has about 2 ships in its fleet.
And it's here we learn that the Hood is captained by a Latinx man.
Yes.
Or
indeed.
Latinx, if you will.
I do Latinx, and I will Latinx. It just rolls off the tongue better. To
yeah, it does.
Honest.
So they're dropping off Tam. They have Tam for some reason.
Well, let's not get too far here. I want to point out that the scene with the hood involves perhaps the most stilted, awkward small talk of all time. It's just
Okay. Let's.
I mean, do you not think so? So the captain, what's his name? Oroso?
DeSoto.
DeSoto.
Oroso.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Sorry to sneak up on you like that, Jean-Luc.
Well, not mentioned.
Robert, why didn't you inform us?
Not mentioned here are the shots of like Picard and Riker just awkwardly grinning at one another when DeSoto pops up on screen. And
well, yeah, DeSoto's quite the character, you know. It's to let you know that they love DeSoto,
right? Which is very pivotal to the plot. Yeah, and he's like, sorry to sneak up on you boys. It's like, we don't know who's listening. It's like, all right. It's
keeping you on your toes anyway. Hey, Will, you getting soft on that luxury liner? You know, they send you Galaxy-class boys out here to the far reaches. Me, I'm just hauling my butt back and forth between star bases.
I can't tell if that's actually the line or not.
No, it is. It is.
Holy
it
shit.
is.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Think I'm that quick?
I think that whole the writing in that scene was shit.
Real quick, before we stray too far from that scene, this is something that frustrates me constantly coming back to this episode, because not only do we have Latink's representation here, this, I don't know why the audience has never noticed this, and I don't think they ever will. DeSoto signs off with "Best of luck, folks." Right. Right. And "folks" is spelled with an X, actually.
Which
and you won't even find that in the online script.
Right. You won't catch that unless you had the paper copy back in the day, because everything else is just a transcription based on what you hear.
Right. Yeah. And I think, don't quote me on this, but I think this is the first appearance of the word "folks" with an X on TV. And we never get credited for it, and it's I don't know. It's frustrating.
Well, Star Trek gets a lot of credit for these type of things that it gets overlooked.
Yeah.
You know, first kiss, interracial kiss, first lesbian kiss, first, you know, all this stuff that something like that's just heard and not
first
seen.
Postmenopausal captain.
Right. It's just such a forward-thinking franchise, and their inability to praise all of it is annoying, but it's not the worst thing in the world.
I suppose. I do have to concede that. There's a lot to work with.
Yeah. So, I mean, as long as people have the image Trek equals forward-thinking, progressive thoughts, it's fine by me.
Yeah.
I like to think.
So Tam. We got Tam.
Now, how do you like the telepathic writing here, where it's, you know, oh, I'm just gonna respond to your thoughts immediately because I'm such a telepath.
It doesn't endear you to the character, but it makes sense.
Yeah, it's not supposed to endear you to him either.
Well, I would hope it would, because he's literally the main character, but
no, I think that it's fine to write him as being kind of unable to ingratiate into, you know, society or social norms.
Yeah, I suppose so, if they made him likable in any other way, but whatever. I digress. You're right. It's not necessary.
Right. And the idea is that he doesn't get along well with Picard nor Riker, or really anybody who's not Data. So when the audience feels that, I think it works.
Yeah, well, especially Riker, because he's constantly thinking about that one disaster he was a part of.
Yeah. Yes.
He can't stop thinking about it.
Now, how do you feel about that that backstory? Do you think about that backstory?
Let me think. So, I mean, it's fine. It gives us some conflict on the bridge. It makes sense. You have this guy who's kind of at odds with all humanoid life, and he kind of gets sucked into the plight of this other race that ends up kind of not abiding by whatever terms there were supposed to be on this planet and ends up killing everyone. It makes sense, I think.
Yeah, I think it speaks to his inability to get along with really anybody, because his point was that he knew the situation and he explained it, but there was a problem with the communications breakdown between him and the Federation diplomat, whatever.
Yeah.
That his advice wasn't properly heeded. And you can imagine that, they didn't heed his advice, but probably he didn't also explain it very well or in a way that they could understand or want to understand if they just were feuding with him. It just speaks to a lot of what is going on with his character. Yeah,
and that's a good way to put it. It's it meshes in with developing his character as we're supposed to know it, I guess.
Right.
So
yeah, I thought it was all fine. Now, these scenes they did lead to a little bit of conflict on the set, because what happens is whenever somebody thinks something, Tam just verbalizes it.
Sure, yeah.
He's for example, Riker thinks, you didn't do a good job at that other disaster, and he instantly responds, yeah, well, it wasn't my fault. And Frakes just had a really difficult time understanding these scenes.
That's right, yeah.
Because Frakes, as we later found out, the way that he thinks is just different from other people. Frakes thinks more in, shapes and images and colors, and he doesn't have like that running commentary track, so to speak, through his mind.
Yeah. What do they call that? No internal dialogue, or
right? I think it's
something like that.
But
yeah.
So Frakes, for the longest time, he didn't really get what the scenes were going for until we had to explain to him that this is how most people think. And once he made that confession about his thought process, the bullying was just merciless. I remember he went out and punched a hole in the engineering set. He was just so angry.
Oh yeah. Oh man, that was that was dramatic.
But we always just would hang like a children's drawing on the fridge in the green room and sign it John Frakes in crayon, just to get our point across. That went on for a few years. There was always somebody different who did it, which
yeah. No, you can never track them down.
It was fun, Somebody new would join the crew. We'd kind of let him in on the secret, and
yep,
it's a good time.
It was nice. It was a simpler time for sure.
Indeed.
Now you'd be a bigot if he did that.
Right. For calling out the simpletons and their
right.
Yeah. Oh well, what are you gonna do? So Tam.
Now, little known fact: Denise was actually the opposite. She couldn't see the apple in her head. You know what I mean? She couldn't visualize the apple.
Right, which, as we all know, is also a sign of some kind of autism or retardation. Right. So if you don't have both going on, you are broken.
At all times, by the way.
Yes. It
needs to be a constant feed.
Similar to Tam's in this episode, where he has a constant feed of other people's thoughts that it drives him insane.
Right. Just instead of other people's, it's your own.
Yeah. Now imagine having thoughts and not just having a vacuous void in there. Tam, by the way, his enhanced Betazoid abilities compared to Troy, we had our commercials labeled him as the Super Betazoid.
The Super Betazoid, yeah.
Right, and the following year, Nintendo came out with the Super Nintendo, and I don't want to say that these two events are connected, but let's be real.
You kind of know.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's nice to have been paid homage.
Right. Yeah. I didn't know they were such big Trek fans.
Most people are.
They just gotta hide it.
Yeah. I mean, if you take a random sample of a crowd, you go to a busy city street corner and just pick out 10 people, like Roller Coaster Tycoon, you'll find that 7 of them are Trek fans, Trek adjacent.
And the other 3 have no internal monologue.
That's right. That's the barrier to entry of enjoying Trek. is a functioning brain, which is why. What was that one episode Frakes just did not understand at all? He's the one where he said later in interviews that he just did not understand the story.
Yeah, which one was that? Yeah, we did talk about that. Which one was that? Yesterday's Enterprise, I think.
Yes, that's exactly it, and that is why his lack of an internal monologue is why he was unable to grasp the finer workings of that episode.
Yeah, it's all coming together. I want to just note, you know that scene where Troy visits Tam in his room, and Tam, well, first of all, the acting here, the physical acting, is bizarre because he sits down and then he stands up and then he paces around and he sits down again.
Well, he's mentally unstable, you see.
Yeah. So he has to. It's like a crutch. It's like an acting crutch, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you think it's
having to move around that much?
Do you think it's akin to like folding your arms? Like, what do I do with my hands?
Yeah. Yes, I would say so. It's pretty much the same thing. When you're having this heated conversation and you're yelling and you're gesticulating, but you're also walking the entire length of the room for some reason, which people don't do.
No, pacing. I don't think I've ever seen somebody pace in my life.
Oh, I pace a lot.
Yeah, you pace
when I'm on the phone.
So
listen, come on. But that wasn't the point. That wasn't the point.
It was my point.
I just wanted to know what.
I've never seen a pacer.
Oh no! My point wasn't the physical acting. I wanted to talk about something else.
Oh, okay.
He says the Chandrins have a 3-day ritual
to say hello.
For saying hello. My question is, how are these things fucking spacefaring? Are they spacefaring? Why are you talking to them?
Their minds were described as glacial, which to me is
they can't be spacefaring
with that kind of pace.
Right.
I suppose. I don't know. I've found more offensive concepts in Trek than a slow species being spacefaring. Like the Packlids. The Packlids being spacefaring is ridiculous to me. You remember the
Packlids?
We did this episode, right? The idiot.
I'm pretty sure we did.
The idiot race that Geordi gets.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. The Packlids.
Right. The fact that they got into space, is vexing to me.
I'm sure many people would agree with you.
And it's part and parcel of Star Trek, I suppose. But that you just introduce an idea without really thinking of the ramifications of it. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh yeah, the spacefaring race works at a glacial level. Now, this is not just in Trek, of course. I don't know if you're familiar with Mass Effect. They had a very similar concept for an alien race.
Yeah, I do remember those guys.
Yeah. And I would say it's equally as nonsensical there too. You know what
they didn't take 3 days to say hello, though.
No, but they were slow, and they were slow. They were quadrupedal elephants, so
yeah, they were weird looking guys.
I've always wanted to see like spaceship designs of these kinds of races, where they're just so inhuman. How do they make their technology? Like, what does a chair look like for these people?
Yeah, it's probably like this claw that juts up from the ground. They just kind of like fall into.
Right, like a hammock.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting to think about those things. It's a fairly common alien design to have, for example, the knees bend backwards, which would entirely change everything we know about bedding and chairs. But nobody ever cares to design these things because obviously it's not pertinent to whatever story they're telling. But I think it's interesting.
The audience just can't relate to these things.
My alien chair. Oh God. Anyway.
So we can, and here's the thing with this episode: you can make like 5 bullet points and summarize it in 2 minutes, because nothing happens.
Tam comes to the ship. He makes mental contact with Tin Man.
Tin Man.
Tin Man destroys the Romulans. Sun explodes. Maybe one other point in there.
Tam stays on the ship.
Spoilers.
The Tin Man.
Yeah, it's not a lot going on. And I can see why you would find a lot of these scenes boring. But it's saved enough by discussion of Tin Man and its nature, which I find interesting. Right. Tin Man and his nature, which I do find interesting enough to salvage.
Yeah, I mean, the concept of a biological vessel is always pretty cool.
Yeah. It's actually alien in a series of
sure, yeah.
In a series of aliens that just have weird noses.
A forehead ridges.
Right, a biological machine with that's not at all anthropomorphized is unique. It's got similar vibes to the crystalline entity.
Yeah, sure. Except it's way cooler.
Yeah, but I'll still give the entity props for not being, humanoid.
It's not like a human with like crystals poking out of its head.
Right, it's not a crystallian.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't talked about Troy at all, which I guess is really telling.
Yeah, I made this point earlier that it kind of seems like it would be a Troy joint, but it doesn't end up going that way.
Right, because she's the only one with the connection to Tam initially.
Right.
Because she was a student at the, I guess, hospital or something that he was...
A patient.
Yeah. So.
Which is weird because, as we get into, Tam is a very impatient character.
That's true. That's a very good point.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, I mean, she has plenty of conversations with him, but none of them are interesting.
No, not at all. Par for the course for Troy conversations, really. Now, I will take these Troys over. What was the name of that negotiator? Half Beta Z. You remember he negotiated against
the guy who was trying to buy the black hole.
It was a wormhole.
Yeah.
First of all.
Okay.
What was his name?
Yeah, Neil Braun.
Right, who the jury is still out on whether or not he's attractive.
Right. We haven't gotten any opinions on this.
No. But I have faith in my opinion here.
Sure, okay. Hey, what about him anyway?
The scenes of Troy and him, which is to say scenes of Troy with another Beta Z happens in this episode, happens in that one. I think the ones in this episode are less trying than in prior episodes. I think they're better.
I much prefer the awkward sex scenes.
Yeah?
Yeah. At least they're funny.
Troy just wearing some like horribly designed dress, getting seduced by Neil Braun.
Getting her toes sucked. This is just, I mean, Troy's just a boring character. You can't really do much with her.
And the way Troy is acted is very flat. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but Troy just never shows a lot of incidental emotion.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe she's supposed to be emotionally measured like that, but it's not very effective.
No, it just creates this boring character,
Mm-hmm.
So
scare quotes character.
That's right. I don't know. The Troy scenes are not great in this episode, but they're not enough screen time to really take away.
They're never great either. It's I don't know. It's like the writers weren't even trying. I don't know.
Which is a phrase a complaint one could levy at any number of episodes. Because very often they did not try. I mean, they adapted a fucking book
um. Okay, so the other thing that's going on is we have a ticking clock because
Yes.
the Romulans are on their way.
Do you think
at
the
a slower
Romulans?
pace.
Do you think the Romulans were in the initial novel? Yeah, that's a key point they make, that the Romulan ships are not capable of the speed that the Enterprise travels at until they are, and years later.
Yeah, until suddenly they show up.
It's like, okay, they're here,
and we get one of the most inexplicable scenes in the episode, where they approach the Tin Man, which we now know is named Gom2.
right?
And
Gom to Jesus.
Gom to Jesus moment. and Tam has his Gom to Jesus moment, and he says, "Danger, Gom2, do not allow." And you may be wondering, audience, why, if Tam and Gom2 have a psychic link, he needs to verbalize his commands to Gom2. And the answer is, this is actually a reshoot that we found to be necessary after we realized the majority of the audience just had no idea what a telepathic link entailed. So, initially he was just kind of standing there looking out the window with a fiery expression on his face. But that was literally the first airing, and I think that footage has been destroyed now. So
gone forever.
It is a very odd scene.
It is, and the way it ends is also odd. How Tam just kind of looks somewhere between drunk and post-coital as Picard speaks to him, and it cuts to commercial.
I don't want to think of Harry being post-coital. Coital is such a disgusting word.
It is.
Coital. Let us have coitus.
Oh boy.
Have we discussed we haven't, Tam calling Riker Billy Boy?
No, we haven't. Would you like to?
No, I just want to point it out.
It is something that happens, strictly speaking.
Yeah. Billy Boy.
Butter Boy.
That's probably a better name for Frakes.
At least at this point in the series. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
And it won't get better.
Not at all. Anyway.
So what drives the Romulans? Oh, right, Gom2.
Right, Gom2 fucking kills them.
But there's more left. Like they're still on their way, right? So
right. What happens is one ship overclocks its engines to the point where it burns out its warp drive, but it's able to catch up to the Enterprise.
Sure. And
the other one does not. So, one ship catches up. It fires on the Enterprise, like really weakening their shields.
Mm-hmm.
And the Enterprise, I think their engines are also out, so they can't catch up to the one that's going towards Gom2. And then they're caught in the I don't know how to describe this, the blowback of whatever attacked the Romulan ship, and so many of their systems are fucking donezo.
Yeah.
And what's weird to me is when the second Romulan ship shows up, it's much more diplomatic. It hails the Enterprise. It gives them a warning to back off, which is weird because the other one was just very content to outright attack the Enterprise. But
maybe they're being cautious after the other one was killed.
Maybe the writers had written the Enterprise to have lost its weapons and shields and knew it would not be able to withstand any attack. And they once again go on to fire at Gom2. Now here's the thing. Later on in the episode, it's revealed that Gom2 is waiting by the star so it can die.
It's just trying to kill itself.
Right. And yet, it took it upon itself to destroy any would-be attacker.
Well, that's kind of Tam's fault, right?
Well, Tam...
He urged it to.
He warned it of danger. And surely Tin Man would know that danger is good for its present situation.
Yeah, I can't refute that. You are correct.
Now, when you think about this is an adaptation that had Romulans thrust into it, it kind of makes sense that the story would break down a little bit at their inclusion.
Right. And now I'm kind of interested in reading the book.
I'm not.
maybe a plot synopsis.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Yeah.
Take a 10-minute stint in the toilet, read the Tin Man synopsis, act like you read it.
Right. Go into a group chat and tell everyone about it.
Right. Review it. Make your thoughts known.
Make sure everyone else knows that you know the spoilers.
Right. You don't
by
want to
telling them explicitly.
You don't want to be left out of the discourse. Is the thing.
Right.
Now.
So yeah.
It's at this point that Tam and Data board Tin Man.
No, I don't think they're bored at all. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on.
That's true. Such as their journey to inside of Tin Man.
Yeah.
Right. So
Tin Man.
Yes. Really cool visual design of the innards of Tin Man. Very much inspired by Gene after one of his final colonoscopies.
That's right. It's definitely different. And not only visually but the sounds that it makes too, right?
Right.
There's like this kind of like ambient soundscape going on inside GOM 2, which those are actually the sounds of several bowel movements layered atop one another. Though you didn't necessarily hear this from us because Jim, I don't think, actually got permission to set up his equipment in the women's toilet for this, but
it's a statute of limitations thing. What are they gonna do?
Yeah, it could be. And sometimes you gotta really take risks to make real art.
Right. And in this case,
and GOM 2,
yeah,
GOM 2 was female canonically.
In this case, you also need to take risks to make great fart, as it were.
I did think the inside of GOM 2 was a little sparse. Like, it was kind of boring.
It's certainly not colorful, right? It's very one tone.
Yeah.
But I do think it sells the nature of it being a biological being pretty well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the chair coming up was neat.
Yeah.
That was just the reversed footage of a wax chair melting.
Took a long time to get that footage.
Yeah. But the effect is really cool. It works out. But sad to say, I feel like that's the only cool effect in the entire chip. So I don't know.
Yeah, like when the doors open, that looks kind of hokey.
Yeah.
But overall, I think I would say I'm content with the internal design of GOM 2.
Okay. I mean, it's cool. We learned that like there was a crew that lived inside the ship. Piloted the ship.
Right. It's described as being a bit of a symbiosis.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Definitely.
I would have liked to know more about that.
Alien in scope.
Yeah.
And the idea that there were, millions of GOM 2s out there, and presumably they all had crews that they were in symbiosis with.
Right.
I don't know. I like things in Trek that are very suggestive of outright alien things. Not.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool to have a species like this that was kind of contemporary with
right
the show we're watching. So like they have to interact with them and stuff and see what it's like.
This was really bungled in Deep Space Nine, my favorite show. The shape-shifting race, the changelings, are introduced, and they are as alien as anything in Trek. Like, they can turn into things like smoke. They can be biological, they cannot be. The implications are very, very wide-reaching. And 99% of the time, they're all depicted as humanoids.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
Do we ever see their original forms?
It's just goo, but
Oh, okay.
when obviously, I mean, yeah, you presumably could have just talking goo running around, but
The Orville did it.
that's true. That's true. Whenever they have to have a role in the story, they always assume a role that looks almost identical to Odo, the main changeling
Nice.
character.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think I've talked about this before. The reason Odo looks how he does is because that's generally the appearance of the scientist who did research on him when they recovered him. And that's a canonical explanation that makes sense. That's his first exposure to a humanoid, so he would mimic it. Every other changeling also looks like that scientist for no reason.
After that, it's like a Han Solo and Carbonite kind of thing.
Exactly.
Wow.
And
That's disgusting.
yeah, Trek sometimes is really heady and smart, intellectual. Other times it's not. Other times it's just Trek.
Especially as Trek goes on, I feel like there's more and more of that.
Yes. God forbid, nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
So they're aboard the ship, and Tam decides to stay with Tin Man.
Yep.
Which makes sense. I think that arc resolved well enough.
Yeah, sure. We already knew that Tam wanted to kill himself.
Right. And same with Tin Man. So, match made in heaven.
Now, the strange thing is Data mysteriously is teleported back onto the Enterprise.
Yeah, it's a lot of a real load-bearing Tin Man in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you really need to believe this alien is capable of anything.
Right.
And, if he flings them, billions of kilometers away?
I guess I could imagine that it has some kind of warp transport system.
The only other time we've seen that done was Q. When Q flung them to where the Borg were.
Yeah, but I mean, sure, yeah.
And if this thing has any kind of similar power suite to Q, you can imagine it's pretty capable.
Handy capable.
I don't know. I liked the conclusion of the episode. I liked Tam just more or less offing himself. They leave it open for some reason.
Yeah.
I find it hard to believe there were ever plans to revisit any of these characters or concepts.
No, I highly doubt it.
Like, oh boy, Tin Man's back. Next week on TNG, the return of Tin Man.
Tin Man strikes back.
It's just a shot of the thing floating in space, unmoving.
Oh God. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the writers felt that it was just a little too depressing to have the character kill himself.
You don't see that on primetime television all that much.
No.
Later, then we get to the episode 2 seasons later where Worf's asking Riker to kill him.
Maybe Tam and the Tin Man, having united with each other, feel fulfilled by each other and want to go elope.
Perhaps. I will say that Tam and the Tin Man is the name of an indie outfit.
That's actually really good.
Yeah, I mean the phrasing
Tam
of
and the
it,
Tin Man,
right? The odd emphasis that you are just fixated on.
right. It works. Yeah, it works very well. Tam and the Tin Man. Real quick, Sensor Watch.
Yep, we have it.
We have a sensor.
Now, what do you say on Fish Watch?
We didn't go to the Ready Room.
Yeah, we did.
No, we didn't.
The scene where
When?
he asks Data and Troy about their opinions on the Tam situation prior to the beam over is in the Ready Room. And I
must have fallen asleep.
I knew you wouldn't see it, so I looked, and there were fish.
There were fish?
There were fish.
Wow. Crazy.
A wondrous world we live in. So
okay.
the episode ends with a Riker. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm talking about Riker. A Data Troy moment, which are rare, to be sure.
Yeah.
This was a bit of a rough day of filming. Because at the end, Troy hugs Data. Now that was a bit of physical improv on Marina's part, but Brent just had a very, very violent reaction to this. He was taken off guard and just kind of flung her off of him.
Yeah.
Which, by that point, nobody really could stand Marina very much.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a good idea, and that's why we decided to reshoot it and get it in there properly. So I'll have to give it to her. I mean, I liked it. But, yeah, I remember she hit her head on the desk in that set. And
yeah. We had to get makeup to cover that up.
Yeah. Something like 3, 4, 5 stitches?
Yeah.
Which the makeup artists were not equipped to do, but they did their best.
Yeah. No, I mean they had sewing prowess.
Yeah, but they used those thick needles.
Whatever.
It was.
It's not like Marina was going anywhere.
Right. Oh well. What doesn't it doesn't kill you, makes you more strong.
Mm-hmm. That's what they say.
How many saucer steps would you give this episode?
This is like a 2.
2.5.
Yeah.
Not that far from each other.
No. That sounds about right. I'm not gonna say it's like god awful or anything, but it's not. I don't know. I hope I never have to watch this episode again. Let me put it that way.
Don't worry. Once we go through all of TNG, we're gonna go through it again. So, in about 3 years, watch yourself.
No.
Sorry. It's 8 a.m. Time for your Tin Man.
All right. Let me see. What do I have for you today? So as we discussed, the writers for this episode, actually, I don't think I told you this, but the writers for this episode are the ones who wrote the story, the original novel.
Yeah.
So that was a stupid thing to say. The writers for this episode are the ones who wrote the story.
Hey, it's a long podcast. It's fine.
So their inspiration for making it into a Trek episode was they watched a certain episode and found it so stupid they felt they needed to write, a piece of Trek fiction. My question is, of course, what is the season 2 episode they watched that was so stupid?
Can I consult a list of season 2 episodes?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, hold on.
We've actually discussed this episode recently, I believe.
Not just when we got to it but out.
Right, yeah.
All right. So, the season 2 episode that was so stupid. Well, we're starting off with the child, which is up there. Let's see. There's the Sherlock Holmes holodeck mystery. A lot of good memories here. Let's see. Unnatural Selection, no. Matter of Honor, no. Measure of Man, no. Contagion, the one with the computer virus, maybe. Oh, it's gotta be the Royale. 100%.
The Royale?
Yeah, with that old...
Not the Royale.
No way.
Not the Royale.
All right, give me one more guess. I'll concede that I lost, but I want to guess again.
Yeah, sure.
Now, there's 2 ways to think about this. Stupid insofar as the science fiction, something like Time Squared with that time loop, which was not handled all that well, or stupid just in the trappings, which is why I picked the Royale.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean it's oh god. How do we?
So, let's see. I'm gonna. It could be the Packlet episode. To be honest, no, it's Up the Long Ladder. It's got to be with the Irishman.
It's not Up the Long Ladder.
Oh my god, there's so many stupid episodes. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. This isn't really a fair question. There's just too many.
Manhunt with Luxana?
It's not Manhunt.
Good Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's not the clip show.
It's not the clip show.
All right, I'll just say The Child and leave it at that.
It is indeed the Packlet episode.
Ah, Jesus. Well, yeah, that is dumb.
It's dumb, but you wouldn't think, right? You wouldn't think like that's the one.
Right. That falls within acceptable levels of stupid.
Right. Right. Where something like, yeah, The Child is garbage. Oh my god, like there's so many bad episodes at the beginning of the season for sure.
But there was Where Silence Has Lease, which was a decent episode.
Yeah, it was okay.
I
That
said it was
stupid face.
Yeah, Ligma?
What was its name? Ligma? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
It was
Nagilum.
Nagilum.
Right.
Yeah,
So it was
yeah,
Mulligan,
pretty close.
Mulligan backwards.
Oh, fuck off. Ligma.
Oh boy. Well, I'm glad that the Packlet episode inspired somebody to do something.
Sure, yeah. Even if it wasn't that great.
Yes. Well, I guess that's gonna wrap up this episode of the Readier Room. Now, I have to make an apology to our loyal listeners. The other, 1 hour of this podcast that we owe you, this ending's a bit premature. But I hope you'll join us next week anyway. And hopefully, the deals you can get at our sponsors by being loyal fans of us will make it up to you. Those sponsors include Denny's, the home of the Grand Slam, Moons Over My Hammy, Pep Boys, home of the 3-minute oil change, and Gateway PCs. Think differently. So at any of these establishments or their websites, you can use coupon code Readier or Readier2 on the Gateway website for 15% off your purchase. Use that to restore your faith in us after we didn't deliver a 2.5-hour podcast again this week. Next week, we'll be back with another episode of TNG, one that may or may not be good. I don't remember. Until that time, bide your time. And until we meet again, everybody, please stay ready.
The troublesome little man-child.
I stand before you defrocked, condemned to be a member of this lowest of species.
Thank you, Ensign. Engage.
Do you consider yourself superior to us?
Should have told him to mind his own damn business.
But I stroked the beard thusly. Am I not appear more intellectual?
Computer, freeze program.
Have you never dreamed of climbing inside the bottle?